Something I suggest you all do as you start figuring out where the swirled parts of the colors are going to go. You can see what I did here. I covered in everything where the highlight needs to go first. That's what you want to make sure you get, because that's pure white. And you can see it's a small ellipse there, and then there's a secondary ellipse that's a little bit brighter, and then a third ellipse that's a little bit lighter. So that's what I did. I got the first ellipse, I got the second ellipse, and now I'm just kind of putting in a light faded third one, which kind of creates the outer edge of that highlight. I want to put that in first. Next, what I did was I used the white colored pencil, and I kind of went around the colored swirls, so I know where those shapes are going to be. I even kind of sketched in lightly that edge where that darker color is. So I'm giving myself the placement and the accuracy of those swirls. I'm not worried right now about putting in those light blue colors and such, but I just want to give myself the format. So same thing here. I've got the strong highlight right here. This one I don't see the multiple layers of it, but I do see that there is that really strong elliptical white. It's based on the contour of the form. Okay, that's first. There's a little bit of a ring that I can see around the outer edge. Now, I can also see that that highlight kind of comes down along here. Alright, so I kind of outlined that edge of white. Now I've got some yellowish grays and things back through there. Over here, I have this area of light white, almost like a turquoise. And I've got this strong area of reflected light down the bottom that comes up along the edge and almost disappears there, kind of like that. Like that. So that gives me the light areas. All the darker areas and stuff I can do later on with those colors once I figure out what colors those are going to be. So I'm going to continue that process for the other marbles. Now, in this marble here, instead of using white, obviously I would use white to do that, a highlight. But I've got this yellowish brown swirl that instead of going into it with, obviously, I would start off with the highlight where that needs to be. But to get the rest of this information, I'm going to use the yellow lightly, and I'm going to use the yellow colored pencil as a way to help define where that yellow is, because if I look closely, I can see some yellow inside that reflection. So I'm going to use that yellow down first below here to kind of create that reflection on the glass of the marble, and then I'm going to come out and just give myself that light version of that yellow shape. I got a little bit of yellow down here, even though it's dark. You can kind of see where that is. So I'm always trying to work light to dark. But I'm not coloring it in yet. I'm just giving myself the boundaries. So I would continue that process here with the blues and grays. All right, where are those blue swirls? There's the big one right here. The highlight is here. Do all the highlights first. And then start practicing the color. Now, how do I figure out my colors? Well, everybody's going to get a scrap piece of paper. How do I start figuring out the color formulas to create this color? This color probably doesn't exist in a colored pencil that I have. So what I want to do is I want to figure out how do I make it. What's first? Just like we did on the marble practice sheet. So obviously there's some white in there. There's a little bit of a blue and a little bit of a gray. So if I need to, I actually have some gray colored pencils. I put the gray on top of the white, and I can see what that does there. That kind of makes a little bit of a grayish white. And then I can come in with one of my other colors here. It's kind of like a turquoise. And put that over top. And I can get a similar match to what I'm trying to accomplish there. And these turquoise, this is aquamarine. Alright. That came from the 48 Prismacolor set. But even if I don't have the aquamarine, I can use the true blue. If I try the layering process like I just did, I could put a little bit of white down lightly, trying to create the overlapping technique. I could use a little bit of gray Or I could try going first with the true blue and then the gray over top, and I can see what I'm trying to accomplish there. It looks like I'm getting a fairly good match. So use the scrap paper as a way to figure out the process for developing those colors, and then once you've got that figured out, you could start applying them into the spaces where they need to be. This area here looks pretty white, but I can see that there's a little bit of a yellow and a little bit of a gray out along that edge. So I'm going to use my yellow colored pencil and kind of put some of that yellow light reflection into it. I can see there's a little bit of yellow here. Just building light to dark. A little bit of a light gray in here too. A little bit of gray over that yellow. And there's some really strong white through here. Notice I'm still following the contour of the form.